Jai Gurudev, welcome back. So, hope you had a wonderful weekend and enjoying it. Here it's very cloudy and cold. It's also nice somehow. I would not like to be in India right now because it's really, when I talk with the people in Vrindavan, they said it's so hot, and it's nice to be here. So, for sure, they wish it would be different, but it was nice today prayer actually, and there were lots of people coming. So of course 50 with the distance and so on. And as usual, Sunday is Sunday. It have always a miserable touch in the afternoon. So I never liked Sunday actually. So it's a day, I'm true, like it said, no God, rest, and it does feel like that. But God inside of you, want to rest in the afternoon. So. Jai Gopal will ask a question.
Dear Guruji, so often when a master leaves the body, eventually the mission he set up breaks apart. There is conflict between the devotees and the organization splits up. So why does this keep happening?
Well, this is very typical human mind, When the master is there, master keep the balance of things, and of course those which take over afterwards, because they are full of pride and ego, they each one want to pull and try to gain maximum from that, So that's why you see very often, if that organization doesn't have a clear standpoint, who will be the next in charge, if the Guru have not appointed the next person which will take place, or if they have a group member, let's say the Guru have initiate some Swamis and Acharyas, whatever, then they have established a certain voting system, and while voting they will vote for one person which will take charge of that organization. And if that is not done, then it will create problem. So there is these two things, So if the Acharya have, before passing, have very often is like that in many sampradayas actually. You can see that in the Shankaracharya also, sampradaya, but also in the Vaishnava tradition, who have a strong ashram and root base. So they already take, for example, you can see that in Udupi, where they train the next succeeding Acharya itself, who will be sitting on the seat. Of course, then all the authority and all the things are given to that Acharya. Of course, all the devotees have to have that respect and respect the former Acharya's ideas for putting that person into its place. So into that context, then it is clear that this organization will hold and they will carry on that mission. But it will break only when there is a power game, where everybody is competing with each another. So if everybody is competing with each another, so everybody want to take control and everybody want to gain something from that. And utilizing the name of the master, they will try to break firstly the organization which probably was created by the master itself to keep the balance of things. So having that in mind, each one become very, it is the ego and the pride, the longing to control, to take over, that's what create disharmony into an organization itself. So you can see that very often, when pride arises into the devotee's mind, especially people which is very close to a master, they very often take it for granted. So because they are close to the master, they think they are very evolved being, but they don't see that the pursuit towards materially, inclined are very active into them. So when they have not get that, even being in proximity to a saint or a guru, they have not really learned anything, because the agenda behind their mind were more important of self-fulfilling their aim. That's what Bhagavan Krishna said in the Gita, chapter 3, verse 40 itself. When he's talking about the seat of desire. Like you said, the seat of desire is firstly the senses, the mind, and the intellect. They say this is the seat of desire, and that by which the embodied soul itself get bewildered and clouded their intellect, clouded their wisdom itself, so they can't think. So when we see what Bhagavan said into that verse itself, it's clearly show that those mind which is running toward the outside is fully deluded, even being near to a master. But have they ever controlled their mind? No, they have not. Have they ever learned and see in the deepness who the master is? No, they have not. So into that context, they have not learned anything. So this organization, of course, if it is ruled by such kind, that kind of minded person, that organization will be has a broken, or it will be governed by people which have self-interest and self-desire. So when we look at this verse, Bhagavan Krishna said, they say, clearly, if one have to change, one have to be aware of what is happening. Firstly, don't give into the sense object. So he said, the seed of desire start firstly by the senses. So like before I said, that mind, you create certain attachment to things. So with attachment, desire arises. So when desire arises, so you want to fulfill. So the senses act upon that. So when the senses act upon that, that reach to the mind. So the mind automatically generates sorrow, sadness. So when the mind generates sadness, of course, the intellect, which is jump very quickly to the past of things, then you start to remember all the enjoyment of life, what you have forgotten. So all these past samskaras start to awake itself. So then you are deluded completely. So when we see that Bhagavan is explaining that to Arjuna, saying that these people get deluded. So being next to the master, if you don't learn to control your senses, you give in and fulfilling these senses, thinking that, yes, by fulfilling the senses, I will be happy. No, you will never be happy. Because sadness and sorrow, misery will awake itself. So even that, you see, people which is near to the master, they take it for granted. So they don't grow, they don't really, they appeared outside to grow, they appeared outside to be very humble, but who are they fooling? They're fooling most of the time themselves. So by fooling the outside, they are playing with their mind itself, So that's why, you will see very often that even people being near to the master, because they are not truthful toward themselves, and they are fully into delusion, and thinking that by entertaining that, they are too great. So that's why when their aim is not clear, their aim is not towards attaining the supreme, attaining the divine itself, then of course they will try to take control of that organization, and of course then it is a greediness, and greediness, as Krishna said, it is never satisfied. And greediness, more you want to satisfy it, more you will want to have. So it is endless. That's why when we see, in certain organization, you see the acharya take one person and train that person. From childhood itself, they will train that person. So like that, as the guru is, that person which they are training will have also the same quality. The association, the deep intimacy association with the guru, make them transform and change. So the view will be similar to the guru. So they will not have the egoistic determination, but they will have open-minded and say, we are working for the community. They will see the community as one big family. Not that I should profit from that. No, we all join together and be one and really push it forward. So if in that context, you will see that the organization will flourish and grow. But you have to see also, this is sad to see that people in many organizations, they long only for fulfilling of their own desires, and really try to destroy everything. So in that context, that's why you see in many organizations there is fight. Because it is, why do people fight? Why would people really be angry? Only when there is not a fulfillment into their desire. The greediness want more, or they didn't get what they desire. So anger will arise. So in that context, they will become miserable and unhappy.
Dear Guruji, when I was growing up, we rarely heard of people being depressed. But nowadays, it seems that everyone is medicated on antidepressants.
That's true.
Why is this?
This is very true, actually. Funny. While I was walking, I was thinking about that also. Nowadays, wherever you look, you hear everybody is depressed. Because they are so unhappy. People, they appear to be happy. Like we were just talking about earlier, people put a masquerade of being happy. But in reality, they are not happy. Because they are looking for happiness where there is no happiness. They're looking for happiness into this world. They themselves first put a mask on the face of being happy, when deep inside of them, truly, they are not happy. So, you see, like you are fooling others by pretending, others also are fooling you by pretending. So everybody is pretending. So it is a world of pretend. And how can you pretend? How long would you pretend? So it comes to a point where you are faced with your own reality. So how can you keep on pretending? So coming to that reality, you see, yes, I'm not happy. So then you become depressed. You see, nowadays people got everything. So the question is, why nowadays there's so many people which is depressed, You see, in ancient time, when we were young, actually I remember myself, when we were young, we never heard of anybody really depressed. When you go depressed, sometimes you get a slap from your parent, your depression goes away. Nowadays, of course, you can't slap your kids, you can't shout at your kids, you can't tell them anything. So you see, life itself, you got everything outside, but yet that peace you don't have. And before, when we were young, we didn't have much, but we were happy because we were simple. Everything was much easier. And when we also, of course, it was hard for the parents So parents were working hard for the children. Then when we hear that very often, we are working for the children. We have to provide for the children. So nowadays everything is provided. The children don't need to do much more, don't need to do a lot of things. So what have they to do? They get everything, whatever they want they get. That doesn't make them grow. So they become depressed and they become unhappy. So that's why they spend their time, due to depression, they spend their time on games. Their mind is fully saturated into playing games. They think that by playing games I will be happy. No, it's escape of life itself. They're escaping something. They're escaping their own reality. And that makes them depressed. That's why you see, because you have everything easily, but yet you are not happy. So what will make you happy is to rediscovery of who you are truly. People are not, you see, people nowadays, when we look at people's mind, how they think, they're constantly in fear. Fear what people will think about them. Fear, if I tell something to somebody, how would that person react? So our mind nowadays is functioning about thinking about others, how others will think of us. And we are bothered about that. So because we are so bothered about how the view of other people, then we are not living our life. So then you fear left, you fear right. Wherever you go, there is no peace, there's no happiness. Even if you close yourself and sit on a video game, you're running from the reality. Life is passing by. When would you really open your mind and see, yes, I am unhappy? So how would I see that, That is the thing, we have to really reflect upon that. Am I really happy what I'm doing? Sometimes you have to take challenges in life. Because if you don't take challenges in life, you will not grow. Then you will still think, by living life like without any aim, aimlessly roaming around in life, then how would you be happy? How many parents tell me their children are just closed in their room and just playing game? How many parents say that their children are so miserable? By looking at them, they themselves become miserable. Of course, that you didn't want that your children have, but it is the reality of nowadays, because they got everything. Who is responsible for that, But when you work and you really earn something, you know how to spend it, then you will start to think twice, Then you will start to think about life itself, When you get everything easily, you don't need to think about life. Then you just live and become lazy and become depressed, So then you look for, secure in pills. You take pills, like in America, you can buy a little bag of little pills, like 20 pills inside. And then you say, okay, that is my, that's what will remove me from that depression. No, what happened after the effect of the pill is finished? That depression don't disappear. That depression is still there. So that's why, investing into your spiritual life, in really get to know really why are you here. That's why you see, how merciful is God, which have made spirituality very available. It doesn't matter which path you follow, but it have made in a way that everybody which is searching, it is easy for them through technology, through books. It was a time when books was not available. There was a time where if you want to search for meditation or search for yoga, all this stuff, it was not available. Nowadays, it is everywhere. Every corner of the road there is a yoga shop or a yoga place. So you see, it's a reminder also of connecting oneself. So you need, that's the thing, when we look at, especially now, this time, what have happened right now with COVID-19, all this stuff, it have created such a distancing between people. And into that state, when you distance yourself from reality, here I'm talking physically, I'm not talking about spiritually, I'm talking physically. When you distance yourself from people physically, depression will be there. So what brings that, when you connect with people, when you connect with your surrounding, when inside of you, that consciousness itself awake. Connecting doesn't mean only physically. I'm talking about spiritually. Connect, with each another. Be seeing that one family itself. Then we go beyond that physical reality. So there's no place for depression. Because in awareness we are united as one family. In consciousness we are united in one family. That's what Bhagavan Krishna said, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, verse 61, where he said, the Lord dwell within the heart of all human beings and make everyone revolve according to its own karma. So, like that, when we take this part firstly of Bhagavad Gita, we see that the Lord have given his address to the people. He have given his physical address where he lives, and he said, I live in the heart of all creation, not all creation, but I live in the heart of each living beings. So that universal consciousness preside in everything, which have a mind, intellect, and ego itself. So he said, I lived within that. If I want to go and meet somebody let's say in London, so I will take my GPS, put the address, and I will put it there. So the GPS will guide to that place. So Bhagavan have given the address. I live in the heart of that. So this is his physical address. It's not Vaikuntha, which you don't even know where it is. It's not Kailasha. It's not heaven or whatever. No, he said all this place is good to know about it, but firstly you have to know my local address. So my local address is the heart of every living being. So there I dwell. So then he said everything rotate according to its own laws of karma. Now for Yogamaya, everything is on a constant movement. Then he said, just like, try to understand that, just like a mountain, just like a mountain upon a mountain, just like a car, like a machine, So everything outside the world is like it's like a machine, but what energizes this machine is that energy, which is inside, that's what energizes. Without that energy, the machine will just be metal, So for example, you take a car itself, So the car can be beautiful car. You have a nice, what is it called? I don't know. I'm blank out now. Huh? Yeah, a Tesla, whatever it is, I don't know. So you have a Tesla. Okay, for example, Tesla is with electric car. So you need energy for that. So you may have a beautiful car, without that energy, which energize that car, nothing will happen. So that energy itself is inert inside, It's not seen, it's not visible, but it is there. So like that he said, mounted upon like a machine, So he said just a machine. So let we look at this part when he's talking about the machine, he's talking about the element in itself, Element by itself doesn't have any power. There. But what gives that power to that element is that essence of the divine which prevails over everything. That what energizes firstly our body. So if the Lord, the Atma, is not present within this body, do you think this body will act upon? No, it will not act upon. So that divine consciousness which is within, that what energizes every part of the body. That is what the energy which gives the eyes the power to see, give the mouth the power to talk, give the ears the power to hear, and so on. But without that, it is nothing. So like this, when we see in nature itself, why do you see trees, they are alive, when there is a certain energy inside what energizes it. When the tree doesn't have that energy, the tree died. So like that in this world, the world of matter itself is nothing. And when we try to find happiness into this world of matter, you will never be happy. Because you will see only the outside reality of things. You will be bound by the external happiness. And the external happiness that will never give you that inner satisfaction. That inner satisfaction is something which is deeper inside of you. Now that's why he said, no, I am the indweller of everybody's heart. So Bhagwan is not there, he's here. When you start to look here, and you start to build firstly your connection with him here, that becomes reality. Then real happiness starts to awake. So looking at the question, you see in ancient time people were very humble, were very simple. They didn't have much, but they were happy. They were satisfied. And that's why they didn't have depression. But nowadays, because people have moved away, that mind, that intention, that intellect of the people is not upon something real, It is always on something which is not real. It is always focused upon the material reality or focused upon the matter of the outside for one's own happiness. That's why one becomes depressed, because we try our best to be happy, to get this, to be happy, to get that, to be happy, to get this person. If I find a good wife or a good husband, good boyfriend, good girlfriend, I will be happy. No, there is no happiness. How long would you be happy? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. Even that you see. You have to act, always to be happy. You have to fake yourself so much, pretend to be happy, to please the other person. So it's just like you always pretend, even when you're having your intimate moment, to please a person, you have to pretend as if it is so good. You have to make some nice sound, and if you don't make that nice sound, then it is boring. So it is like that also, you see. It's a world of pretend. So of course depression will be there. So.
Dear Guruji, God is the one who provides everything for our use. So why do we have to offer everything to God first? If God has not created these things for our enjoyment, then why were all these things created?
Look, we have to have gratitude in life. That's why we offer to Him. Of course, He have offered, and He don't ask that we offer back to Him. But we, as being also part of His creation, or being part of Him also, we have also this gratitude to what He have given. So what we take from Him, we have also to be gratitude to be able to give back also a part to Him. So in reality, we take from Him, we give back to Him. That's what it is said. Tana mana dhan sab hai tera, Swami sab kuch hai tera, tera tujhko arpan. Said, Tana mana dhan. Everything in this world belongs to you. What we do, we take from you and we give it back to you to make us feel good, but we have done something good. Just that, you know. So God doesn't demand that, you know. It is just because we must show appreciation in life, you know, for what we receive, you know, and we must be grateful for what we have received. So that's why we participate into what we receive back to Him. So,
Jai Gurudev Guruji, you spoke a few days ago about how the king missed a rare opportunity given by Sant Ravidas to awaken to his true self. How can we ensure that we do not make the same mistake and miss opportunities that you have given us?
wait, I have to think about
The story when Saint Ravidas told the king to drink the...
yeah, the leather, yeah. But you see, this is the way of the master. Now, when the master teach something to somebody, you know, it's up to the person whether the person have that capacity to absorb it or not. But this all come to the point of how much you trust the master. You see, if the king would trust Sant Ravidas, he would have taken that blessing. And because of that, you know, people doesn't realize that, you know, in which way the Guru will test the devotees, you know. And of course, for the devotee, of course, because they dwell into their mind, they think, yes, I love Guruji, I love, it's love, yes, only when everything goes good into your life. You know, some days back, somebody wrote to me a letter, said, oh, you know, in my life, you know, that person lost somebody. And that person wrote to me and said, oh, you know, my faith in you disappeared when you told me my daughter is not in heaven. And I said, well, look, what do you expect? But I tell you a story just to please you, tell you, yes, your daughter, because she's dead and she's in heaven. No, I'm not that. I would not, you know, whether you have faith in me or not, I don't care about that, you know. So I will just tell you what you have to hear, you know. So like that also, you see, people come very often with their own agenda. And of course, they expect the Guru to fulfill that agenda. They don't know that the Guru have much more than that to give, you know. And the Guru can give in a stint of seconds if one passed that test. And of course, you have to be ready to receive, you know. Like Arjun said to Krishna chapter 11, he said, you know, if you see that I'm worthy, then please show me that cosmic form of yours, you know. But if I'm not worthy, I will never be able to handle it. So like that also, you see, throughout the journey of life itself, one is to render oneself worthy to receive something deeper. And of course, by following the teaching of the Guru, and following what the Guru is saying, you try your best to do it, and try your best to control your mind. You know? And of course, then you will be awarded also. And it's not about awarded in heaven or whatever. No, even here itself, on this world itself, you will be awarded the result of your surrender, you know. So like that, you see, Guru will come and be in many ways, you know. So in your question, it said, how would you not do what the king have done? You say, firstly, build your relationship to the Guru with a single-pointed mind and devotion, you know, that nothing can make you move left or right, you know. Anchor yourself fully, you know, or rooted yourself fully into devotion to the lotus feet of the Guru. So if you have that devotion to the feet of the Guru, then you will not fail that test, you know. Then you will have that Amrit itself, you know. There is a beautiful story of a saint, you know, Vinodaji. So Vinodaji was a great devotee of Lord Rama. So he will, wherever he is, he will be absorbed into the remembrance of Lord Ram. So one day he was in deep prayer. Now, he was doing his prayer, Manas Puja, which means he was doing his prayer into his mind. He was visualizing everything inside, and he was, just like we do our meditation, he was doing his prayer. So there was one of his disciples was sitting and looking at him. The saint, when he finished his prayer, he opened his eyes, and to surprise, he saw his disciple looking at him. And he asked him, "What do you want?" And then the disciple said, "Maharaj, please tell me, what were you doing?" And he said, "Well, look, I was doing my puja in the mind, I was worshipping Lord Rama into my mind." So hearing that, the disciple said, "Maharaj, when we do puja, we get Charanamrita afterwards. When you do Abhishekam, we get Charanamrita afterwards. Can you please, but you have done your puja minus in the mind, but we didn't get prasad. We didn't get that Mahaprasad from you. So please, give us this Mahaprasad." So saying, the Guru just got up, went and got his kamandalu, which is his water pot. And when he took this water pot, because the inside of his mind, you see, he have offered this water to the lotus feet of Sri Ram. So he took this kamandalu and he gave Charanamrita to the disciple. The moment the disciple drank that water from the pot, the kamandalu, instantly he was filled with bhav. He went in ecstasy, and he could feel that bliss inside of him. And he just felt unconscious due to that what he was feeling. And when he was unconscious, he had the whole wonderful darshan of Lord Rama and Sita. So that's what when one is deserveful, and grateful, even when one is ready, Bhagwan will arrange that, to give his darshan. So like that itself, when one have full faith in the Guru, they will have the darshan of Bhagwan himself. So you have to try your best only to purify your mind, and also really to build your relationship with the Guru and absorb yourself into that relationship. So, like that, when your mind unite with the mind of the Guru and it become one consciousness, so then there will be no different, then you will not fail, the test, then you will have that divine nectar itself. So one thing is that is very important, to unite your mind with the mind of the Master, so that you see the Master, like I was saying earlier, and Lord Krishna gave the address, where he is, he said, my local address is the heart of my devotee and the heart of all living being. So like that. Here when I'm talking about the heart, I'm not talking about the physical heart. Even if I'm pointing towards the physical heart, I'm not talking about the physical heart. When I'm talking about the heart is the place where all your good quality arise, where love itself arise, So when one is into that consciousness, when the mind, your mind have unite with the consciousness of the Guru, when your heart and the Guru's heart have fusion together, have become really like a heart, So like that, you have excelled yourself to a very high stage itself. So then you will not fail the test. But if you see yourself separate If you see yourself, you still have your old ego identity. Of course, when you have your old ego identity, your old samskaras also will catch up with you. So when your old samskaras catch up with you, then you will have different, then you will see, why is it like that? Why is not like this and that, So there will be a lot of judgment. This is where the mind gets clouded. And when the mind gets clouded, of course, depression and anger and so on will arise. So firstly, clear that up, and focus the mind on the feet of the Master only. This is where the mind must be, always, When we talk about Hanumanji will always focus upon the feet of Sri Ram. So like that, if he is a model of surrender, so he was surrendering always his mind to the feet of Ram. So in that his mind there was only the name of Ram. So like that, a devotee's mind must always be at the feet of the Master. And their heart should be always unite with the heart of the Master. Because the Master is ever there, present, and ever ready to give the treasure that he holds, And he holds a very big treasure, This treasure you can't buy in this world. There's no, even if you have billions, you can't buy that treasure. So think about it. Jai Gurudev.